Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Krakow Football Live podcast. This is our pilot episode, and I'm your host, Ashvin Asani. For those of you that don't know me, I am the manager of the Krakow Dragoons FC football club here in Krakow, Poland. So, what we're hoping to do is to have this show on a weekly basis with sometimes regular guests, but hopefully various guests from around the football scene in Krakow and also on various other topics. For our first show, we have the original Dragoons from the team, and I'd like to introduce you to Alex Bācica, who is the president of the Dragoons, and two directors, John Davies and Daniel Finnegan. Alex, could you please let our audience know a little bit about yourself first?
Yep. Hi everyone. So I'm Alex. I've been living in Poland for 8 years now, and about 5 years ago we started this project with the Dragoons. Back then it was just was supposed to be a casual kickabout, but then it evolved in the team that it is now.
John, how about yourself?
Hi everyone.
Could you please let our audience know a little
Hi
bit?
everyone. I'm Jonathan. I moved to Krakow in 2014. Had the honour of probably before we were officially a club, being the first player to be sent off in the first ever game. I've scored some cracking own goals, and I think I moved back to the UK 2 years ago. Hung up my boots and just a director now.
And over to our last guest, Daniel Finnegan.
Hi everyone. So Dan or Daniel, as most call. I've been in Krakow about 10 years now, just coming up. So as Alex said, we all met on a fairly cold September night, I think, about 5 years ago, just for a kickabout. And we're now Dragoons. So I really enjoyed the time. Most people don't know me for my goal scoring capabilities, but they do happen every now and again.
I think we can say that for all three of you, right?
Yeah, it's the common theme for today.
So, how did it all begin for the Dragoons? How did you guys all end up meeting? Alex, could you lead?
Yeah, so like I said just before, in 2015, and actually then it was a pretty warm afternoon that September afternoon. Yeah, was I think the warmest in September. Anyway, basically it all started from a post on Facebook. Like a group of guys, some people were looking for some more people to play a casual football game, and the four of us actually, because Ashvin was there that day as well, met for the first time at the game. We had 90. I mean, personally, I was expecting like 20 minutes, six-a-side, something like that, because I was coming after a long, long break. But we started straight away with a 90 minutes game, and well, we enjoyed that game so much that we basically started coming week after week, pretty much immediately after that. And then about 1 year later, we were having this core group of people that were showing up every week, and that was the point where we decided that we want to turn this into something a little bit more organized, let's say. So that was how the idea was formed about 1 year later, and we gave it a name. Was actually a day of brainstorming between me and John to come up with the name. We didn't do any work that day. This was the only thing that we've done. Um, so we came up with the name. We came up with a basic form of organizing ourselves, and we're looking for some way to be as a team. And fast forward 2 years later, after that, in 2018, we signed the documents to register ourselves as a football club in May 2018, and a few months after that, we were officially Klub Sportowi Dragoons, and in the 2019-2020 season, we started competing in the B class, which is the lowest league in Polish football.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. I do remember that first training session. It was you know, it's quite a big change, I think, on all of our lives in Krakow. We all met people who ended up becoming our friends and still are our friends. And obviously, there are some people that aren't, within our social circle anymore. I, I'm sure, John, that you remember some of these people. Any interesting stories you'd like to share
Yeah,
before we became the
I
Dragoons?
remember Brunchgate, as it came to be known. And I think, Ash, it was you and Diddy. I think a couple of others. You'd gone for some. Had you gone? I can't remember. You'd gone to Kazimierz for some brunch. Posted a shot on Facebook or Instagram or something, and our founding organizer, if we like, took took big exception to it.
Yeah, yeah. So, just for those of you who don't know, we had some fella called Liam from England who actually organized the first few get-togethers that we had, and a prerequisite to play football on Tuesdays was that you had to attend a drinking session on the Friday evening before. Did you ever go to any of those, Finnegan?
No, I actually knew Liam and John from playing in a business league team. We were playing together, and that was my in. Thankfully, I didn't have to go on a session, so looks like I got out of jail free.
I remember lots of people coming with their girlfriends just because they wanted to play football on Tuesdays. I'm sure Daniel Silva came quite a few times with his girlfriend to what was that bar called on Shevska?
The
Multi
the lighthouse
Multiculti?
one. Oh yeah, yeah, the multiculti one. Yeah, I actually been only once on those social gatherings, and the second time I've been out forced like that was actually on Liam's birthday, and that was purely because um, he still owed me some money and said that he's gonna pay me back if I come out on his birthday for a beer. So I
Yeah,
no,
it must
no,
be.
no.
No?
Was 1 year before that, just before that. But I've never seen that money back because he bought me beers and like a burger, which I assume would have been for his birthday, but he counted that as a debt paid. So, yeah. Well,
Just FYI for the audience, the Dragoons isn't run by any shady or nefarious characters anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
As you,
Thankfully, he's not in charge of finances.
oh, so you're in charge of finances now, aren't you, Daniel? Okay.
Yeah, most recently was one of the last few to be brought in as one of the directors. Player still, I should add.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I
Um,
haven't been stripped of that right yet.
just a little bit on that because at the moment, the whole world's going through this crisis of the coronavirus, and football as a sport has been interrupted, for obvious reasons, but the financial impact, on clubs across the world is probably going to cause some of them to fold. How does a club such as the Dragoons survive this kind of you know um, unfortunate circumstance? You could say that's for
So,
you, Dan. Yeah.
yeah. So thankfully, because we've started out, we haven't jumped into uh, being a massive club straight away. Being grassroots, it's given us the chance to know how to spend our own money. Now we're club funded, so everybody has their membership fees, and it's early days for sponsorships and everything, and we're at the phase of every little bit helps. Um, so thankfully, last season we were able to more or less spend as much as we earned, so it put us in a good position at the start of this year. Now, thankfully, we were at the beginning of the new 2020 season when all of this kicked off, so we're in a better position than a lot of other clubs, a lot of other companies, you could even say worldwide. who've been in operation a long time, and they just haven't been able to manage their cash flows. It is still early days for us, but things are looking good overall. We're probably going to see a lot of problems with the bigger clubs who have a lot of monthly fees that they've still got to keep paying, their players that they've got to keep playing, but they're going to get no revenue pretty much. And it looks like that's going to stay like that for the next 2 or 3 months.
I guess Dragoons are very lucky that we don't have those expenses, like having a pitch, and having to maintain it, and we're because we're renting, we've actually ended up being pretty lucky, I'd say,
Yeah.
at the moment.
And because it's all voluntary as well, it's all of our time that people put into this and making the club what it is. So we don't get paid anyway, so we're not exactly losing out in times like this.
Yeah, John. From what I've heard, speaking to Alex on numerous occasions, you and him are like, the brains trust, the drivers behind the direction of the football club. Where do you see the football club being in the next few years? Is it like an aim or a goal, or something that not just you personally, but you and the board would really like somewhere for the team to be?
I think personally, I'd love to see us get promoted. I think there's a hell of a lot of talent in our ranks. The fact that we've, as Danny alluded to, we self-fund this in the main. And I think that actually, going back to the previous point, I think the self-funding means that we're not going to be in a position that a lot of clubs will be, because we're not governed by a business or benefactors or anything. I think we've pretty much got control of our own situation, and the fact that everyone's bought into it. So there is a commitment there from everyone involved. I think, personally, promotion would be the first step. Already, as far as we've gone, I think it's a really big achievement what we've done so far. Also, personally, I don't think this is the exact vision of the club as such, but I'd like us to, maybe get an academy up and running, something that we can guarantee that there'll be players coming through in the longer term. I think, Alex, is that a shared vision for us as a club?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Obviously, we're talking about years ahead of us at this point, right? But I think when we actually started shaping this thing, this sort of vision for the future, to have an academy was kind of already there. The seed was planted. It's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to be a lot of things that we need to do before we get there. But in terms of vision and what we'd like to see in the future, yeah, that's one of the main things. Because going back on how the club started, it was purely out of passion and nothing else, right? This was the main driver behind the club. So what we want to see in the future is continuity. So once, myself, I'm 33, and a lot of us are in our 30s or late 20s, so we'd only be able to play for a couple more years or something like that. But we still want to see the club existing in, after that. So bringing youngsters and academies and kids, and Krakow being such a big and multicultural city, we have the opportunity to work with, or we would have the opportunity to work with expats like ourselves, in order to create this academy and promote the club and make sure that it will exist 10 years from now.
We're talking about the multicultural, how multicultural Krakow is at the moment. This is really reflected, isn't it, within the team? We have how many nationalities?
At the moment, I'm not sure exactly, because we've got some players coming in, but more than 21, that's for sure. So we have more than 21 nationalities signed at this point, and we've had over 30 for sure with other players or members that came and left.
It's quite a thing to have had that many nationalities. I think on the last couple of days on Facebook, I've seen people sharing how many countries they've been to, and I haven't seen anyone who's been to 30 countries. So imagine having that many nationalities in one place. It's quite an incredible achievement, and even more so that it's in within a within a professional league system as it is. I mean, when you're not a professional club, but it is a professional league system. How has that worked out? How did it? What were there any pitfalls in getting the club into the league system? How did it work with the local association?
Well, at first we thought that that will be the case, but surprisingly they were really really open about the whole thing. Obviously, we had to go through some hoops, but I think that's normal for every club that it's starting out. But we had a lot of help, I think, also because this sort of grassroots mentality it's kind of developing in Poland. So they wanted to kind of use this growing trend and get us on board with that. And of course, having, you know, 20, 30 nationalities at a club at this level is something that it's without precedent in Poland or maybe in the world. I'm not really sure. But, you know, we've had some issues at the beginning because one of the main parts was that we were not allowed to have, according to the regulation, more than one player on the pitch that is from outside of the EU. But actually, going through the whole regulation, word by word, found out that you can have that if you send a request to the FA and they'll approve that request, which they did because of our unique nature. And they actually, before we've got the license, they wanted to talk to us to learn more about the club and understand what exactly we would try to do and who we are, because it was a bit weird, to be honest, and I'll give them that, because all of a sudden you have 20 something nationalities that want to come in your league system. But we had a meeting with the VP of the local FA, and he asked us a few questions. He understood what we're all about, and about 1 week later, we had the green light to put the documents in and register as a club. And to be honest, one of my proudest moments, maybe of my life, was that when the president of the local football association here in Małopolska tweeted our name together with the big clubs in the city, that is Cracovia and Wisła, saying, you have this many nationalities in Cracovia, you have this many nationalities in Wisła, which was about 4 or 5, and then you have this unique club in the lower leagues that has over 20 nationalities. And at that point, that was an achievement, and still is, I think.
Yeah, it's an incredible achievement, and it's very nice that the local FA have basically embraced the club and welcomed them into the league system. I guess places this far east kind of do have some stereotypes, in regards to the integration of foreigners. So, this is something that goes against that trend, you could say, in a way. Uh, going back to all three of you, were started off playing as footballers. So I just thought I'd just, you know, I'll kindly just prick you each a little bit. Finnegan, you're still playing. Um, you're
Try to.
Yeah, you're like a first team starter quite often these days. So, what do you think is your the strongest aspect of your game?
Well, I am an out and out defender, so that is the strongest aspect of my game. Um, I don't like comparing myself to other people, but I see myself as a Sami Hyypiä type. I really love the way he plays. It's one of my favorite players of all time. Just his aerial presence and just strong nature into tackles, getting rid of the ball, and just no nonsense football. It's something I try to do myself, and it gets the teams in less trouble as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, you're kind of the John Smith type, aren't you? On the ball,
Exactly.
though.
I'll accept that. Yeah, that's true.
Yes. What about yourself, John? What do you think is your strongest
Well, it's
aspect?
definitely not my pace. Probably about 20 years ago it was. I think, obviously, it was pretty much the end of my playing career, really. But I think as the pace went and the legs got heavier, I think you just realise that you need to keep things simple. And I think the one thing that does benefit as you get older as a footballer is you tend to read the game better than when you're a little bit younger. So yeah, I'd probably say just keeping it simple was my strengths at the end. It definitely not the pace.
It happens to everyone, buddy. I'm the same as well. I'm a snail compared to just 2 years ago, to be honest. And Alex, on to you. Best
Uh,
aspect?
well, I like how you said that Finnegan is still playing because technically I am still playing. But it's really hard these days to focus on trainings when there's a lot of work to do behind the scenes, right? But I still do train almost every week and do my best to try to get in the team. Um, I used to play when I could actually run. I used to play as a right or left winger, but now I was sort of demoted to right defender. And I mean, a lot of things have changed since the last, since we started. And I liked, or I think my strong point used to be like positioning and vision and this kind of thing, but they're all gone now because my head my head is in five different places at the same time. And if I'm playing, I'm thinking like, is that guy okay? Will he be injured? Is he available for the next game? And this kind of, so it's really hard to focus these days. But I'm happy that there's a lot of really good players at the club now that stronger, younger, faster, and better than me. So I don't really have to think about that and just enjoy every minute I get on the pitch.
Sounds like you just described the circle of life.
Well, I mean, yeah, I was one of the first players to join, and I'm still here. But yeah, obviously, we have these youngsters coming about now. I've honestly, I've never thought I'd say this, but the youngsters and all that. But still, to this day, one of my favorite players, it's still John Davies, and the way he used to play for us, it's still something that's hard to compare with.
Do you mean the yellow cards, the late tackles?
Yeah, I mean, despite the send off in our first ever game in the 92nd minute and giving away the penalty that lost us the game, you're still one of my favorite players.
Oh, thanks, I'll take that. I realised at that point that my acting wasn't going to stand up because I remember flying across goal, handling it, getting up, holding my face, and it was the old ref that used to do all the Sunday League ones. Um, he just looked at me, shook his head, and out came the red card. So my football career and my acting career died on the same day.
I think the club's doing very well at the moment in the first season in the league. What's impressed you the most about the team, Alex?
Well, there's a lot of things actually, and it's hard to put my finger on one. But there's one thing that I appreciate because obviously we were and will always be a group of friends that is playing football rather than a club where people come play football, go home and forget about it. Right? We started as a group of friends. We still are a group of friends, and I think it's a big thing how we can switch like that from the banter between the games. And once the game day and the kickoff is coming close, everybody's 100% focused on what they need to do, and everything that we've talked about for that game. And it's even more so impressive because, like Finn said earlier, it's everything is voluntarily, right? So no one's getting paid, everyone wants to be there, and they're giving their absolute best every time they're on the pitch. You wouldn't think, watching the players coming to 1 hour, 2 hours before the game, that they're capable of playing football the way they're acting. But once the final the first whistle blows, they're 100% there.
Finnegan, you're technically the captain right now of the club.
Yes, I've been vice captain all through the season, but unfortunately our resolute captain has had to temporarily hang up his boots due to an injury.
How are you? How are you looking forward? Are you looking forward to leading the team? And also, what have you liked about the club this season, say compared to last season?
Well, first of all, I like just playing the football, so being the captain is a bonus. Being able to lead the guys out and hopefully representing well, that's the aim at every game. This season compared to last season, it's a big step up for us. I mean, we say over and over again, we're a grassroots football club, but being in a league where there are teams that are established for 50 years and much even more, and being able to compete on their level and even compete better than we thought we were going to do at the beginning, it's really, really good for us. And I mean, you've kind of touched on it, that we are a group of friends, but at the end of the day, we are players, and this is our first step in a serious league. There's plenty of competition for places, but yet there is no animosity between any of the players. We are still friends, and like it should be, whatever happens on the pitch stays on the pitch, because as soon as the final whistle blows, we're all friends again, and we're thinking about the next game.
That's great to hear, considering I'm the manager. Yeah, John, I was going to ask you, how are you finding it? Because at the moment you're not in Krakow and you haven't been for a while. So how are you finding it following the team? Has it been easy to follow the progress, to be able to see what's been going on? Because you're obviously a director and you have a big investment, emotionally, mentally into the club. So, how's that distance, impacted you?
I think we have a lot of exposure. I think the club does a very good job, or Alex does a very good job of marketing us, across social media. Obviously, we'll probably touch on this later, but we have been. Alex has done countless interviews, all over Europe, it seems, for our club. I think, obviously, I was back in England when we started playing in Bācica, and I think quietly I was probably a bit nervous that we wouldn't be able to step up, not in terms of our ability, but maybe mentally, going from being a group of guys, a group of mates, but going from Sunday football where, we wanted to win, but we were now going into proper football, proper league football, where winning, we had that expectation. And I guess, yeah, I did worry a little bit that maybe mentally it would be a massive step up. But, I've been able to follow it as a fan in many ways. We do quite a bit of, in many ways, we're almost marketed in quite a professional manner. Obviously, the team's site used to come out before a game. There was a build up to it. So for me, it was quite, well, being stepping back, it was quite an exciting thing. It was, like I'd apply to Spurs on a match day. If I can't be there, I'd be able to, to get into the excitement of the game. obviously I wish that I was involved in terms of actually being physically there. That you know that is certainly an ambition that I want to get back and get you know actually involved on a day-to-day basis in Krakow. But I feel like I'm one of now many and a growing number of fans of Krakow Dragoons, and I think, like I said, we've done a brilliant job of especially through social media. You think we played Wanderers in a friendly, previous FA Cup winners, one of the founding members of English football. And they came over to Krakow and we played them everywhere we've gone with this. We're just creating history, and it's just little milestones ticked off, ticked off, ticked off. But it feels like and it's probably the same for all you. It feels like this is our club, and I'm really proud of it. People in my office know about this football club, whether they've been to Krakow or not. And I think our exposure now is vast, really, mainly thanks to the tireless hours that you put in, Alex. But yeah, it's a pleasure to follow it from from afar. But like I say, one day I want to be back there, getting my hands dirty with it.
I guess that's the great thing, that in modern day we have all these technological capabilities that doesn't matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to still follow your football team regardless of whether it's Krakow Dragoons or your Tottenham Hotspur side. So I think we can all appreciate how much work Alex does put in to increase the visibility of the team. Alex, it's something you said. You're thinking 5 different things, and 4 of them are about the Dragoons, I'm sure. Can you give us like a bit of an insight into some of the things that you do that people would not really know about, that entail in running a club?
Uh, well, I don't. I mean, honestly, I'm really emotional right now because I always consider this to be a collective effort, and you kind of put me on the spot there. But it's a second job a lot of the time, really, because I have my 9 to 5, and then I have my 5 to 9 the next day, basically, which I think about the Dragoons. And there's a lot of things that I'm trying to take on myself so others can focus on football and nothing else, right? And like you've mentioned, John, and you, Ash, there's a lot of social media promotion that I try to have for the club, and there's a lot of work to put in like that. But luckily, we're not the first ones to do this, right? So I have a lot of examples, and basically, since we started, what I've been doing, what I've been trying to do actually, is look at the big, let's say, big small clubs, most of them from the UK, right? And to give a name, Palmer's FC was kind of the one that inspired me. So just following their example, do what they're doing and try to apply it here in Krakow. And by doing this on a daily basis, trying to post something on social media, recording our games, uploading them on YouTube, these sort of things that require a lot of work on a daily basis. I try to increase the visibility and make sure that people like John that are away but they still want to follow the team are able to do that. And we even have, I don't know how many teams have it at this level, but we even have a live score kind of thing going throughout the games, right? We have live text of the game. Obviously, it's really hard and a lot of technical resources that we don't have to have live games on YouTube, for example. But we do have the live text of the games, and they're becoming more and more popular, and there's a lot of engagement there. And nowadays, with everyone staying indoors, and we have no football going on, I try to do something else to keep people engaged. So we have this Meet the Dragoon series that I'm doing at the moment. So that's basically a small presentation for each of the players, a small player card with how long they've been at the club, and what they like best, and this kind of thing, just to try to keep people engaged. And yeah, we had great response from everyone. We had loads of interviews from all over Europe at the moment, and it's at times overwhelming, to be honest.
Well, it seems you're keeping a good handle on all of it because the club's still there, and and we're all still here, and here we are adding another element to the club with this podcast today. Going back to the team, and you know, it's more than just a club, like you said. It's a group of friends. What extra things, do the players get up to outside of playing football? Is there extra activities that the club organizes on their behalf? Because I think everyone feels that for a team to be a team, it needs to be more than just training and playing, right?
Yeah, true. So we have a lot of things that we do outside of the pitch, and we have a couple of regulars. One, like we have an end of season party and a Christmas party. Those are kind of set in stone. So it's basically we get together at the end of the season or at the winter break. For one night that a lot of us will remember, a lot of us will kind of remember, but it's basically about getting to know each other better, talking to the guys about other things than football, and being a group of friends, I guess. So this is kind of like per season basis, and obviously a lot of the guys do go out together weekly, but it is nothing that it's organized per se. It just happens as it happens with friends, right? And as organized by the club, apart from these parties that we have, we sometimes go for away games. Like we have this sort of tradition to go to Warsaw once a year now. And again, it's just a group of us, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 people that can make the trip. And we go to Warsaw for a football game with a local team there, and basically for a weekend away with friends, right? So these are the main things that we do outside of pitch. And obviously nowadays with the isolation, there's a lot of Call of Duty going around.
Yeah, I've been involved in some of those running battles, and it is great that the players do keep in touch, off the pitch, as well as being, you could say, comrades in our arms on the pitch, using a Call of Duty style analogy there. Um, I'm quite interested though in how you guys ended up in Krakow. Finnegan, you said you've been here 10 years. Hey, that's a long time to be in this city. What brought you here?
Yeah, it's kind of like snuck up on me that it's been 10 years already. It really has not felt like that long. Um, I initially came here with the main purpose of studying at the economics university, and it was supposed to be one, maybe 2 semesters, and I ended up actually doing 3 years here. I just like the city way too much. I'm from a small town in the southwest of Ireland, so it's uh, very different here. Um, I tried to go back to Ireland for a couple of months, but it just wasn't the same. So I actually remember being in Ireland when I got a call from my current company. I think it was on a Thursday or Friday afternoon that they called me for an interview, and the following Tuesday, I was back in Krakow and working the next day. So it was a very quick transition back to Poland, and I've not been back since. Absolutely love it.
So you're saying you prefer Poland to Ireland then?
Long term, yes, absolutely.
You sure you're not missing those Irish breakfasts?
The grass is always greener, as they say. As with a lot of things, Poland has become more westernized in the last few years, so I'm still able to get a delicious Irish breakfast from the milk bar because the head chef is Irish. So the little luxuries in life.
But on the flip side, that's pretty much all he can cook, right? Being Irish,
Well, if I'm being honest, I don't eat anything else at that restaurant, so I wouldn't know.
Bit of free advertising there for the milk bar and for all Irishmen that are visiting Krakow.
Is it
Yeah,
milk?
I'm not going to tell them exactly where it is because I don't want to be waiting outside the door for a place to open up. So
You were going to say something there, John?
Yeah, I was gonna name drop the milk bar, but for Dan I won't.
thanks, John.
Well, I think a lot of people, at least the ones that have been visiting Krakow or live in Krakow, know exactly which milk bar is, because
Yeah.
it's the milk bar, right?
Well, they already live here, so as long as nobody new finds out about it, then my usual breakfast is safe.
I think you're pretty safe there in that regard at the moment, anyway. Um, well, how about you, John? How did you end up in Krakow?
I moved in 2014. I've always, loved traveling and throwing myself into different cultures, and I thought, well, I don't know a word of Polish. I probably know about 6 words now, anyway. But um, decided to move over in 2014, and the day I moved, my lung collapsed. So I tried to sit it out and hope it inflated itself, but it didn't. So my first welcome to Poland was 8 weeks in a Polish hospital.
That does not sound fun. I mean,
No,
I've been to a Polish hospital. Yeah, I mean, you're still alive, so they did something right, right?
they did something right. Yeah.
Do you see yourself being in Krakow long term then?
I mean, I'd like to. It's. I think the more we progress with this project, I touched on it earlier, but the more I want to get involved, hands on. I'd never rule out coming back to Krakow. It's a small city, but it's a special city, and I think it's probably one of the most multicultural cities I've visited. And like Finnegan said, it becomes more and more westernized. Obviously, it still retains its charm, but you know, you don't. The more you're there, you don't find you're pining for stuff from back home because it kind of caters for everyone. It's a long time. I'd never rule out coming back.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything, hasn't it, for everyone from everywhere. I mean, even the Spanish are invading at the moment. So, Alex, you, I guess, you don't have a Polish wife, and you didn't come to Krakow to study either. So, why Krakow?
No. Well, actually, I was pretty much the same, like Finn was saying, it kind of snuck up on me. Because about 8 years ago, I was actually planning to move to Denmark, and I actually had my tickets and everything. But then Krakow happened. Basically, got a job offer just before Christmas in 2011, and then first day of March, I was already working in Krakow. So basically started to the job and came over with my girlfriend from Romania. We both kind of got similar job offers, and we didn't know much about the city back then. And we thought, just give it a chance, see how it goes, and maybe for a year or two. And it's been 8 and counting. And actually, I was very very close to leave last year with actually job offers from Spain and Belgium, but I was kind of involved um, too much in the club to leave the city. So I said I'll give it another year or two to make sure that everything is settled here, and we can do the most with the club, and we'll see about me going somewhere after that. But who knows? I've been saying like that I'll leave. I've been saying that for 8 years, and I'm still here. So
Well, hopefully you'll be here for quite some time to come, so that the Dragoons can continue growing in strength. I did ask John before, um, in regards to what he felt the Dragoons should achieve. I mean, you are kind of the main founder of the club. So I'd like to end this podcast by finding out what your dreams are for the club.
wow, okay.
Keep it short and simple if you can.
Yeah, ending it with the banger. Well, that's the toughest thing you can ask me when talking about the Dragoons, to keep it short, because I can talk about it for days. Uh, to be honest, I don't know, because we started as a just going out for a football game, and we ended up here. I don't know if how the others consider if this is an achievement already or not, but for me, it's really incredible where we are at the moment. And I can't really say I have a goal in my mind at the moment. The only thing I know is that I will do everything I can for the club to grow as much as possible. And you said that I need to be here to grow the club. I want to get to the point where it doesn't really matter if I'm here or not, but the club can still be here and grow as much as possible, regardless, of one individual or two or five, right? So that's pretty much the main goal, if you want.
That's great to hear. So I guess it's on the rest of us on this podcast to also assist in that. Um, Thank you very much to everyone that's listening. This is our pilot episode, and we have had a few hiccups along the way. I'd also like to thank our guests today, Alex, Dan, and John, for joining me for this very enlightening conversation into our football club Dragoons. We will have another episode coming soon, so I hope you will join us for that. Thank you very much.